Hello and welcome back to a new school year. Today we will be doing a lesson on evaluating expressions. So for all of these lessons, please go at your own pace. If you find this topic very, very easy, you can feel free to pause when we get to the problems, work them out on your own, and double check to make sure you get the answers, but then just fast forward to the next problem. If you find that these are a little bit difficult, feel free to go back, go slow, that's fine. Just make sure that as you're doing them, please do take notes. So the first thing we're going to be doing has to do with evaluating expressions. This is mainly review from pre-algebra, but our first word is going to be a variable. And as many of you know, a variable is a letter used to represent a number. And in math, the one that we use most commonly is the letter X. So, for example, you'll see an expression such as 3x. And for 3x, the x is the variable. So let's do a few examples now. So our first example hopefully will be easy for you. If it's not though, you can go through slowly. And I'm going to ask you to evaluate the expression when c equals 4. And I'll give you 4 different problems to do. So if you find these really super easy, like I said before, go ahead and just do them on your own. And then you can fast forward to number 2 once we get to that. Otherwise, watch carefully. So when we are evaluating something, what that means is that we're going to take anything that has a c in it and we're going to replace it with 4. So 8c means 8 times c. So we're going to change that to 8 times 4, which gives us 32. You do the same for the rest of them. So 12 over c is going to be 12 over 4. That gives us 3. 15 plus c, we replace the c, we get 4 in the c, and we end up getting 19. And the same thing for part D. So the next one will be a little bit more challenging because I'm going to bring in some fractions. So I'm going to ask you to evaluate when x equals 1/2. So then, for the first one, we have 2/3 x. Remember, once again, it means 2/3 times x. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it as 2/3 times 1/2. And just use what you know about multiplying and dividing fractions. You're going to cross-cancel your 2's. You end up getting 1/3. The next one, in my opinion, looks a lot harder, but actually there's a few different ways to do it. So 2x over 3, believe it or not, is the same thing as 2/3 x. It's just a different way to write it. So if I give you a test and I give you a and b that look like that, you'll know that your answer should be the same. One thing that a lot of people like to do with b is they like to do 2 times 1/2 over 3, and they know that 2 times 1/2 is just 1, so you get 1 over 3. That way also works. I don't really care which way you do it. Either one is fine with me. So then letter C is one that confuses a lot of people. So the number one answer that people like to put on that one is 4, because we know that 4 is half of 8. However, that is unfortunately not the right answer. So just be very careful on that one. So we end up getting 8 over 1/2. There are several ways to do this problem. So you can choose whichever way works best for you. My favorite way to do this is to take the 1/2, get rid of that by multiplying the entire thing by 2 over 2. And in your numerator, 8 times 2 is going to give you 16. Denominator, 1/2 times 2, believe it or not, is just going to be 1. So you end up getting 16 over 1, which gives you 16 as your answer. Now the other way that you can do it is you can actually say, okay, well I have 8 over 1/2. That's the same thing as 8 divided by 1/2. Use what you know about dividing fractions. You get 8 over 1 times 2 over 1. In the end, you are going to still get 16. So there are 2 different methods to do this. It is going to be your choice what you want to do. So the one on the left I'm going to call method 1. The one on the right is going to be method 2. So then for part D, I'm going to do it on another slide. We have x plus 1/4, which is going to give you 1/2 plus 1/4. So for this one, if you remember when you do addition of fractions, you need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to change 1/2 to 2/4. 2/4 plus 1/4 will just give us 3/4 in the end. So the last type of problem that we're going to do also involves some fractions. I'm going to ask you to evaluate when k equals 3/4. And for this one, I'm actually just going to give you 1 to do. And it will be k squared. So if you remember, something squared is that number times itself. We're going to do 3/4 squared. You're just going to end up doing 3/4 times 3/4, which gives you 9/16.